Welcome to That Moto Show with Dirt Bike TV's Jay Clark and producer Donnie Bales.
Number 17. That's hard to believe. It's been 17 episodes. I say that every time.
Yeah.
Right? 17 episodes. Who's number 17?
Well, right now, Savacci,
which looks cool in the Triumph.
Yeah.
We got some other 17s over the years, racers for pro.
Well, the phenom rider of all phenoms, remember the biggest guy that said was going to be...
Couldn't miss.
He was going to do it. Robbie Bernard.
Yeah.
And then one of our favorite riders of all time, RJ, was number 17 in 1984.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that because I just remember the other numbers. I don't remember that one. 84, I was just, I'm a little younger than you.
Yeah.
So I wasn't,
not a lot.
Yeah, good amount, Grandpa.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So,
well, I only appear older because I have a young child.
Right. And you're a lot more gray.
Yeah. Oh, the beard and losing my hair.
Yeah. So I will say it's been tough to line up our schedules here in the summertime. Donnie's still got little kids like grandpas do, and so we're a little off on our schedule. But hopefully you guys enjoy. We're a tech-only podcast. You guys like it. Remember to email us questions if you have questions on anything. This show, the first thing you'll notice is I'm not wearing my regular shirt. I'm going to wear this shirt for Matt Buyten today. It's a fundraiser shirt for him. Unfortunately, he got hurt. Paralyzed riding not FMX, which is what he did for years, and I helped him I remember helping him with tires at the X Games, and he won Step Up a bunch of years. Just a totally cool, nice guy, great guy. And then he was just having fun riding motocross. The last couple of years, he's been riding just moto for fun and would go to Loretta's. And so he was at a qualifier in Colorado.
Was he at that Lakewood qualifier?
Yes.
Yeah, that one there.
So unfortunate. And so you can have him on the back here. They got Buyten on there, and just a great guy. So he lives in Texas. So if you can support him, you can. Got a shirt for Spencer. You should get one too.
I think I can pony up the money.
Right.
This is the tough side of our sport.
It's brutal. Yeah. I wish we could ban it.
Yeah.
So
how do we ban that?
Yeah. If there's anything I would like to ban, would be that. So it's also one of our biggest fears, right? Especially for guys who've been doing it for a long time.
For sure.
So just unfortunately, it's part of it, and it's tough. So I wish I could tell everybody that doesn't happen, but unfortunately it does. So a great guy. So if you can support him, do so. We're looking forward to a good show today. No guest today.
No guest.
Just us.
Right.
Okay. And then I think
this is OG. No Spencer. No guest. No nothing. Just you and me.
And in some ways, maybe it's the way it should be. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll get people's input.
Yeah.
And but we will have more guests, don't worry. And I think the next show, maybe, we'll be on the trail side again. Yeah. If it works out, I'm going to be with Spencer in a week or two, and we're going to be on the trail in the mountains. And
maybe a surprise guest, too?
Yes, maybe we'll do that.
Okay.
Have Dracula or somebody.
Well, I was just on vacation, and when you do a show on the trail and I can't go because I'm daddy daycare, it also puts me on vacation.
Right. So you're like, yeah, do a trail show. That'd be great.
Well, the truth is, I wish I could go on these rides, but since the kids are out of school and I got a little one,
yeah, that's tough.
It's hard for me to get away sometimes.
All right, so 17 should be fun. First thing we're going to talk about is the August issue of Dirt Bike Magazine. Look at this. TE300 build we did. White frame, San Diego powder coating. We got Schmidt suspension on here, Recluse. Great looking bike, decal works. And we took the oil injection off this bike. And this is the bike I rode the last trail trip, and you got tons of posting on this bike because I just post it all the time. Because every time I post some of the clips from this ride, I go, man, I got to schedule the next one. So that's what we're looking to do.
So two things. Number one, I love the OG Husky colors. But just give me a quick heads up on taking the oil injection off. Like, what are you accomplishing with that?
Well, then it puts us on us. We mix it at 50-1. Now, so in some areas, it could be a little rich down on the bottom. That's where the advantage of the TBI or the computer brain now is able to map it just right and have it run at 100-1 for that little bit down there. So you might get a little bit more ooze out the back. But I feel like it's better lubrication overall and more consistent. And I think most of the builders, like when Jamie mapped it, I think he's a little happier that we're just pre-mixing. He doesn't have to stress about ratios at whatever RPMs and so forth.
Is it I'm gonna ask a really dumb question, but was it like on some cases different oil when it's oil injected over mixing it?
Yeah, you're supposed to. I don't think the R50 we run from Klotz, I don't think you're supposed to run that in an injector. So
right.
The Motor X stuff I think is fine enough and that it is okay for it because it's getting in there in that fine mist. But
so this is something I heard about people putting the wrong injector oil in that tank and you could cause problems.
Right. I don't think all of it. So you need to make sure that it's injector approved. And I think most of the oil companies will tell you that.
Yeah.
So, that we like the Klotz one. I think Klotz has one, but the R50, that's what we just run in here. And we're running 50-1 on most of the bikes. And I think we have a jetting oil question in the show today. So
I'm not kidding. I didn't look at that question. That seems to come up every now and then. All right.
So fun deal there. We got that. What else? Oh, there's no races last week, Saturday or this Saturday.
So, okay, I was out of town, right? And so I hooked up my iPad to watch the race when I was out of town.
Yeah.
Okay. And it wasn't the best picture.
Oh, the first weekend you were gone.
The first weekend I was gone.
For Washougal.
So it wasn't the best picture. So immediately when I got home, I'm not joking.
I had to rewatch it.
I came right home. I put my bag down and I went and my wife was like, hey, "What do you?" I go, "Pretend it's race Saturday like normal." And I just sat down and went, "You already watched this." I go, "I'm watching it again."
3.5 hours. Just leave me alone.
Now I did blow through some of the quick stuff, right?
Right.
But no,
still 3.5 hours.
I watched all the races.
Yeah, you got 4 40-minute motos.
And I was the happier for it. Did two things, right? So I got a better picture, and I pretended like it was a race weekend.
Right. That's pretty cool. So I do watch some of the races again in that case. Deegan was awesome there, huh? That was great. Man, and Chase was insane fast there.
Just when you look at Deegan and you think, oh wow, VL has his number, and then the second moto when he's like, nope, the rear end wasn't working right, and I got it working right now, and he pulls out 14 seconds on him.
Oh, it was crazy, dude.
How's that even possible?
And within like 3 laps.
Yeah.
He just put in some heaters to just demoralize him, and that's what he did on a track that's really tough to gain that much speed. So that was pretty cool.
I know that we don't talk about this stuff like other. He was a little more muted on the podium. Did you notice that?
Yeah. I don't know. He seemed like he's all right.
A little more mellow, I felt like.
Well, but I like that he owns who he is.
I do too.
That's cool. So anyway, we got a great show. I got a lot of good questions for you guys that are listening and want questions. If you want the mechanic guest, then just tune out and come back next show, right?
Right.
All right. So before we get started on questions, let's do a couple little product things. How cool is this little motorcycle looking, Don?
Okay, so I want one of those things.
So I just got it. We're going to do some reviews and talk about it, but I hadn't even turned it on or charged it up yet.
I can't believe how heavy it is.
Yeah, it's legit. Like, I thought it was just a, little fragile toy, but this is legit. They are pretty expensive, but we have a link through Rocky Mountain where you can buy those if somebody's interested in those. I've watched some videos on it, and the guys are jumping huge jumps and everything, and it's pretty cool.
We got Jeremy Martin here.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, this is more than he's rode all year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish
his back looks pretty good. He had problems with his back.
I wish he was riding, though. I was always a fan. I'm a fan of short dudes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Racing. Short dudes racing, anyway.
Right.
And then I got one of these, and I did a video on my Instagram doing a tire change, and I used this to beat it up. Did you see that? Or were you busy on your trips?
I was busy.
Dang it.
Okay. And I might be a little honest. I don't watch every tire
change one.
Yeah.
Are you kind of over it? Like,
I've seen a couple.
After the 100th one, you're like,
I've seen a couple.
Okay.
I've seen them in person. So,
right. So these things work really cool. So this is on Amazon. This is called Estroi. I can't even say the name. But
yeah.
Cool little deal. It worked great.
Dude, I absolutely love this kind of stuff.
You charge it
that's
up.
coming out, and it's
light.
Like,
you could carry this in your pack if you wanted to.
Is it also a battery charger so you can charge your phone with it? Because some of them do that too.
I don't think this one does that.
If it has a USB-C on it, it will.
It does.
Yeah, it'll charge it.
Whoa, we got to check. Oh, you're right. It's right here, dude.
Yeah.
So you could charge it up with this.
You'd go both ways. It'll go in and out.
No way. Okay, so I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah.
That's rad. Okay.
I bet you it will.
Okay, so we'll try that. So it's pretty cool you to set pressure. So those are kind of cool things to have. I recommend having one. And now they're gotten cheap enough where you could have one in your car or your truck that you take to the track.
Right.
Boom, hit your truck.
They're almost disposable, huh?
Right. Well, and this is going to last for a few years no matter what.
But I'm just saying, like 5 years ago, okay, time for a new one.
If it's not keeping its charge or whatever. But,
right.
But a good little deal. We already used it to beat it up the tire, no problem. So that was kind of cool. All right, so let's get right into some questions, Donnie.
All right.
I should say finally. Let's go.
Finally. Yeah, like what are we in? 10 minutes? minutes in questions. All right, Anthony M. I have a 24 350 SXF that has air forks. My question is, the 24 XCF does come with spring fork?
Yeah. So I think he saw one of our posts about the 350 XCF, and I talked about how it was like the perfect bike because it comes with spring forks. And it's basically, I always say this, that's the magic bike. If you can only have one bike, which most people do, right?
Right.
You can moto it, trail ride, desert, tight trails. It's perfect. I feel like it's good everywhere. Yes, there's some little things you can do, change the gearing, mapping if you want to get crazy, but stock, it is pretty dang good the way it is, and it's awesome. So this is one thing where I think he's kind of bummed, from what I could tell, that his bike has air forks and the XCF has spring forks. That's why you got to do your homework when you buy something, right?
I actually like my XCF better at Glen Helen than my SXF.
Yeah, the way it's set up.
For real, no joke. It's like way good.
Right. Well, I'm going to sell one of my 350 SXFs.
SXF.
I think I'm going to sell one of those here soon.
A red one?
Or the white one, one of the two.
Oh, the white one.
Yeah, either one.
All right. Samuel G. I have a 23 KX112 and was wondering what the ratio do I use for mixing gas. I do street riding and a little bit of nearby small trails. Is he a 12 o'clock boy?
I don't know. We'll see.
It says street riding.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't condone that, but... Oh, no, I do. I guess we do condone it, right?
Yeah.
We don't. We shouldn't. It's not a good look for dirt bikes to be on the road.
It's not.
Okay, but guy's got some mad skills on the wheelies, though.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's start at the beginning. 32-1, everything 125, 150 size, 2-stroke, 125 under is 32-1. 40-1 for all 250cc bikes and up for motocross. Okay. Now, if you're going to trail ride, you can get away with 50-1. Okay, on 250, 300s, bigger ones, 50-1, no problem, with a good oil like our Klotz R50 we use. So that should help you out. That's a good rule of thumb. Also, another big question I get and problem I get is a lot of guys ask is they have the big oil drip coming down the silencer, and so they want to lean out and go to 50-1, 60-1, 80-1 for their kids 85. Now, what's going to happen in that case is you're not going to get enough lubrication to the lower end. You're going to blow up your bike way sooner because you're not getting enough oil. So the issue with the oil is not because of the ratio. So keep that thing back at the 32-1, and you can play with jetting to back it off because chances are Junior's not going fast enough, and he's lugging it around, and that's where more of the problem is. So you can lean it out a little bit to help with that. That's where you need to go, not with your oil mix.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Okay, AG. Can you let a 4-stroke bike idle with the petcock turned off until the bike shuts off to eliminate gas sitting in the carb? Also, do these bikes typically have a simple drain bolt that I can easily access to ensure no gas is left in the carb?
Yes, they do. Yes, you can. You can just leave it off and let it idle for a little bit. It will take a while. So I suggest that you lean the bike over, while it's running, you lean it over a little bit, help it run out the overflow hoses. But also, and he actually sent me a picture. I said, send me a picture of your carburetor. So he sent me the picture, and I circled where your drain is. So on the side of the bowl, there's a little flat blade. Now, not all bikes have this.
A little brass one, right? It's a little brass one?
Yeah, I don't know if it's... Yeah, it can be, but it's right at the bottom of the bowl, and it's a flat blade screwdriver. You just back that screw out, drain it all out, put it back in. That's a great thing to do if you're going to store your bike. And when it's hot especially... even if it's going to sit for, a week or 2 weeks and you don't know for sure, drain that thing out.
Yeah.
Save your pilot jet from getting clogged. It's a huge help.
I mean, I hate to say this, especially in California.
Right.
Our summer blend gas is so bad.
So bad.
It'll go bad in 2 weeks.
So bad.
So bad. We can blame somebody for that. But Quad T, I guess.
Yeah.
Looking for a recommendation on good used bikes. I have a $6,000 budget. What would you recommend looking at? No Yamahas, as I've had poor experiences with them. I do a lot of trail riding and single track. I've had an XR400 in the past and have loved them. But what else in this price range would be good fit for me? Thanks.
Okay, so I wrote him back. First of all, his Yamaha comment just has me thinking that he got some bunk bikes. Like he had some bad luck buying some junk bikes, because I don't think Yamaha's by any means is any worse than any other bikes. It's one of the better brands.
I would go the other way.
Yeah, it's one of the better brands. So that goes for any brand. We have a similar question coming up with any brand. they can all have problems. So if it's not well maintained and it's hard to, if it has too much time. So that answers that. The bike I told him, of course, is the KTM 350 XCF, because he can get a really good 19, probably now in California, you could probably get a 19 to 22 range bike for in that price range and get something clean with under 20, 30 hours on it and be golden. So that's the bike I suggested, was a 350 XCF. Now, one thing I do find is a lot of the guys that write me, they live in let alone other countries, but even in the US, they live in areas where there's not a lot of, they don't have the pool of bikes we do.
Right.
We can look at Nevada, Utah, Arizona.
Yeah.
We can look all over for bikes and within a 4 or 5 hour radius. And shoot, if you stayed within a 2 hour radius, you can usually find whatever you need in Southern California.
Oh, I think a 1 hour radius.
Right. You can find plenty of good bikes. So
inland and Orange County, there's plenty of bikes.
So if you live within, whatever distance and you're willing to come travel, I would consider looking at bikes in Southern California, because the market is it's a buyer's market more so than other areas.
Also, if you get the right vibe or whatever, you can ship a bike for like $300.
Yeah, and there are some good guys that do it out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an option. All right, what do we got next?
All right, Josh W. I have an experience. Have you experienced any issues starting a new YZ450 after it's been sitting? My issue started initially after I washed my bike. In parentheses, pretty sure I was a little aggressive with the pressure washer. And I did finally get the bike to start and change the oil after to be careful. Now the bike still cranks for a while before it'll start if it's been sitting. Once it's hot, it'll run perfect and starts right up. Thanks for your input.
Okay, so one of the first things is...
You guys have awesome content.
Oh, he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the downsides of that new 450, 2324 YZ is the switch. Apparently, there's some problems with it getting water in there, and we've even seen some on the KTMs, which we switch switches. But it's a stop and map switch, and that switch gets water in and it runs kind of glitchy. So guys will actually unplug them and try it that way. So I know, and we actually passed this on to Kiefer, and Kiefer wrote back that was probably what it was the map switch. And then the other thing is, on these bikes, if you're trying to start them, just hit the starter for like a second. If it doesn't start right away, then wait a second and then do it again. Don't just hold that thing for 5 seconds or longer. It's not going to start if it doesn't start right away. So just hit it for a second and a half, wait, back off, and then do it again. That helps a ton.
I knew a guy that actually smoked his starter by holding it on.
Just holding it. Like he's like, oh, it's not starting.
It's not starting.
Like it's like a car or something.
This is an auto. It should just go.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's a caution for you Yamaha guys right now.
Right.
After I just said Yamahas were good, but they are good. All these bikes have little glitches sometimes on little things, and electronic things like this you got to watch for.
Every bike has their idiosyncrasies.
I haven't looked to see if there's a way to seal it up, maybe with silicone when it's new before it has a problem. Yeah, I haven't looked to see if there's a way to make it better. That's something we should look at. I think right now guys are just buying new ones, and it's like, I haven't seen if somebody's making anything aftermarket yet or anything. So, maybe there's something
for their map switch.
Yeah. So
because Nihilio has start-stop switches.
This one's a stop and map switch. So I think right now it's only available.
Oh, it has like the 3 buttons.
Yeah.
On it. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Now, one thing I would consider is blowing that off, or maybe you cover it up when you're washing. Cover it up with, you got a plastic and put some tape around it real quick when you're washing. I don't know, but then blow it off with air quickly. So
listen, these problems we didn't have 20 years ago.
Right.
All these electronics we have, no matter what you think, you have to do more to take care of them.
And when we wash bikes, we have good videos showing that. If you guys want to see how we wash bikes, we lay the bike down on both sides, then stand it up. And then when we get in the garage, that's where the real work happens, in the sense of we're looking for any places we missed. We're blowing off the entire bike. We pull the seat off, and we'll blow all the electronics off and shooting up under the tank. Ideally, you take the tank off if you're really, really dedicated. But we're shooting air everywhere and just really getting every contact that we can reach, because you want to get all that electrics cleaned off. Yeah,
for sure. Manuel G. Where are you located? I'm interested in FMF fatty pipe repair. It has a few dents. Are you doing pipe repair?
I don't.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
But I do post some of Robbie's pipe repair. So he's up in NorCal. Robbie's Pipe Repair is who to hit up. He does a good job. I don't know a whole lot of other guys in Southern California anyway. There's a guy in Colorado that does a good job, but I don't have a ton of guys that are doing it. The shipping is very difficult to make it work. So a guy's got to really do a good job at a good price to make it worth it.
Yeah. I watch his videos just because there's something mesmerizing about
it is cool.
Him.
It is cool.
When he does the time lapse and the pipe moves as he's heating it up, it's pretty cool.
It's rad.
All right. Daniel S. Hello, Jay. I need of help. My son has a 23 CRF 250R and the drain bolt, this is terrible, is stripped out. I want to do a time suite.
Sure.
Well, I know, but it actually says time suite.
Hey, well, let's let him off the hook, dude.
It might not be him.
Okay.
It could just be
autocorrect.
Autocorrect.
All right.
I'm sure the cert is not in there. To ensure what size I'm not sure what size to buy. Is this how you would fix it? Thanks in advance. P.S. I took it to the shop he bought it from, and they had 2 more with the same problem.
Yeah, and I've heard of a couple others as well, unfortunately.
What's the issue?
Well, the issue is the drain bolt is not a conventional looking drain bolt. You're going to laugh. That bolt is like an ATV Allen head.
Oh, I've seen them.
And it's only about 3 threads. And it's very shallow. It's like a cap, like a timing cover cap.
Yeah.
That's the drain bolt is that small, and it just has an O-ring on it. And the 451's really big, like a bigger ATV. It's really good size. The 251 is more like a timing cover, and it's small. And I'm gonna say it's like 10 millimeter or something or so. Maybe
Allen.
The threads, and then the Allen's like an 8 or 9 or 8.
No, but you said when you said 10, I'm like, it's an Allen wrench.
It's an Allen bolt. So this thing, first of all, I don't see any real fix without splitting the cases. So everybody I've talked to is that's the solution is you have to split the cases. And you either buy a new case, which is the easiest thing, or you're going to get that thing welded up with a plug in it and drill a hole, because the time cert has nothing to grab to in that case. There's not enough threads. By the time you drilled it and countersunk it, if you try to get a time cert in there, it would be too tall and high in there.
What do you think it would cost for a case and for to have a mechanic split the case and put it back together?
So that's a fifth. So the case is probably
$500,
$400 to $500 to buy the one case.
$1,200,
and then
for labor?
And then you have to. I would say if you find a good mechanic, guys would do it for anywhere from $400 to $800. Because you have to transfer the bearings and so forth. So so this is a $1,500 boo-boo. So this is another reason to be really careful, not over tighten things. Also, get them always started by hand when you do drain bolts. I always preach that. And have a little bit of grease on the threads.
I mean, it's sad. It sounds like this is a kid.
And we make mistakes. I mean, I've stripped stuff, and it happens. Unfortunately, that's how you learn, and it's an expensive learning.
I used to strip out the Honda fork guards all the time.
Yeah, it's very common. Whenever I get used bikes in there, it's so common. And one other thing that Honda did on those was crazy is the disc guard had 2 Allen bolts, right? The disc guard Allen bolts are slightly longer than the fork guard ones. So if guys got them mixed up,
and you run it in there,
they'd put the longer one on the fork guard,
and it tears it right out.
And they'd run it in, it would bottom out, and they'd tighten it, and then it would pull the threads out.
Yeah.
So that's a common one. So they'd get them mixed up when they had their forks off.
Wow. All right. Keenan O. What's up, Jay? Thanks for all the content you make. I was wondering if you had any loops in Utah or northern Arizona that you would share. I got Onyx through your code.
Cool.
And I wanted to put a trip together. I'm meeting my dad halfway between Colorado Springs and San Diego to ride. Thanks for anything you can offer.
Okay, so we've posted before about dirtbikeutah.net. That's a great source for info.
That's just a guy, right?
Yeah, great guy. His name's Dave.
I didn't mean it like a bad guy. I mean,
and he also has Thumper Jockey Lights is his other little side hustle. He has a regular job, and then he has these Thumper Jockey Lights, which we just put a set on. I'll run a picture. Spencer puts them on the Sierra 450 RX. He put lights on it. Just rigged them up on the bar, so they have these like little lights, so you don't have to run helmet lights the whole time. Because up in Utah, it's really hot in the summer.
Yeah.
And if you want to get some riding in the mountains, it's going at night is good, or early in the morning. So it's nice having those lights. Anyway, he has this cool website that has those places. Now, one thing that I get a lot of guys that don't realize, and they come from different parts of the country, is Utah's great, but there's seasons for everything, right? So if you're going to come in the summertime, you got to go to mountains. So there's nothing in between where he was talking about that's going to be, in the summertime, is going to be remotely
He's going to be straight desert.
Rideable. Yeah. So you have to go to mountains. And by Moab, that Ride Moab Industries, they have some rides out of there that are mountains you could get to in the summertime. Still going to be highs in the daytime, of 85, but not 100 plus like most desert places. So you have to be careful of where you're going and what time of year. For the mountain stuff, usually it's the middle to the end of June before you can get out on the trails. And you can ride them until you're dodging hunting season in October and stuff. So you got hunting season in there, and then the desert stuff you can pretty much ride not year round, but a lot of guys do. But I would say from October's optimal all the way through May kind of range is usually really good for the more desert stuff like Green River, Moab area where I took you. Yeah, that's the best time. I think we went in October last year.
Yeah, we went in October.
How good was that?
That was pretty fun.
All right.
That was an okay ride. That's all I have to say. All right. Devin F. Hello. I recently started watching your videos, and I see you run a lot of Dunlop tires.
Weird.
That is crazy. I'm on the East Coast, and I do a lot of hard enduro riding and single track. I currently have a Dunlop EN91EX on the rear, and I'd like a Dunlop front. The size I'm looking for is 80-121. I'm not sure what would be better tire, the AT81, MX33, MX34, or anything that would be good for rocks, mud, loose dirt, logs lying down.
Okay, so without a doubt, the two that we come to mind would be MX34 or AT82, which is a brand new off-road tire, and I'd probably lean towards the new AT82. Great tire, that's what I recommended him, and I think it works great in those types of terrain, and I think the durability is really good. So I think if you're not happy with one of those, with one or the other, then I would just try the other one. If you try 34 first, then go to 82 the next time. I think they're great.
Yeah, I think either way you're
going to be good. Those two tires are so good on the trail, track or trail, but on the trail they're going to be great.
Yeah.
Hey, so a little stopping point. So one thing I forgot to do earlier is I got a couple little things that I'm going to go over here. Sorry, Donnie.
Well, we're going to. I need to stop anyway.
Okay. Well,
we're at that point.
Okay, we're not quite there. Man, you're being tough. All right.
I'm being tough.
Yeah, guys. You guys all want the show shorter, right? And then all the guys commenting are like, make it longer. It's fine being longer. So
I don't need it shorter. I just don't want it too long.
All right. So first thing we're going to talk about, and I got some cool photos to work in here. Jonathan D, he's a big fan of our channel, and he wrote us, and he sent us some good RM250 photos, which we'll have here right on the screen. If you're listening, you're not going to be able to see them. But he did after watching our stuff, he says restoration channels like Dirt and Iron, Cameron Namella from Prime, and MX Revival, for instance, he decided to get a 2003 RM250 in bad shape. And he did the whole build, not including the engine build. The bike was running, even though compression wasn't desirable, he says, but focused on the restoration. As you can see, the thing came out awesome, right? He learned a lot of tips, and he got new plastic graphics, wheel bearings, handlebars, exhaust system, engine covers, brake rotors, etc. But also trying to restore as many of the original parts as possible. The engine was mainly polished, not vapor blasted, since he wasn't touching the engine, using the Prime mini wheels and steel brushes as well. So you can see the thing came out looking really nice. So he spent about $2,000 doing that. One thing I always caution guys, when you do these builds, you can spend $4,000 to $5,000 easy if you.
Wait, did he buy this bike and then spend $2,000?
Yeah.
I think he got a good deal.
So he spent $2,000 to get it to that point, so you can see how nice it looks. But then you're gonna, spend the $2,000 there. So let's say he spent $2,000 on the bike. You're at $4,000. It really needs the engine rebuilt next, because the problem is, especially in these older bikes, you're playing with fire, because if a piston breaks, a rod goes out, something goes out, now you've wiped out a cylinder and potentially cases, which you can't buy. Like, you have to go straggle and pay way more for used ones than you'd want to. So that's another reason to be ultra cautious on especially these older bikes that are 20 years old. You want to put a new piston in them. You want to make sure that the crank is in good shape. And when I say good shape, you want to make sure that it has under 50 hours. So when somebody tells you something, I don't buy it. I'm gonna change it out and make sure that it's solid. So anyway, you can see he did a great job on his build there. And then I got one more cool comment here from you, and this is an interesting one. Marie S, and it's a guy. It's from a different country, so you're going to read that. Good day. Can you please forward me the tire stand drawings, which everybody knows we have the tire stand drawings, which are really cool. I follow your Instagram page. At 43 years of age, he's a motorcycle master technician. I've learned a lot from your post. He says he has 8 Pan Am Harley Davidson adventure bikes. Okay, I use for tours here in Namibia. Namibia. Where is that?
Isn't that Africa?
I should have looked it up. I would think so.
That's Africa.
Right. This tire stand will help a lot when we do on our tours to change tires in the middle of the desert. A backup vehicle is carrying the necessary equipment and tools for our trips. So they're doing these huge tours with 8 of these Pan Am bikes, right?
You seen how big those things are?
Yeah. And they're probably doing hundreds of miles, at a time, on these tours. So that's pretty cool. So so I sent him a tire stand drawing so he can make his own. So I thought that was pretty rad.
That is very cool.
Right.
Right on.
So anyway, so we can work in those photos there. Where are we at in the show? Want to do a couple products real quick?
Yeah, we're like 30 minutes right now.
All right. So ProX has rotors and sprockets. Now, ProX was kind of known for making pistons and rods when they first started, and they made Japanese quality. They would get right from the Japanese manufacturers the pistons and the rods. So it was like OEM quality stuff for a little bit less money. So that was kind of cool. Well, now they have replacement rotors and sprockets. On the sprockets, they have aluminum ones, and then on our off-road bikes, I run the steel ones because that little bit of weight savings, especially on a 350 or bigger bike, the aluminum sprockets they just don't last that long. They just don't last. I don't care what brand of sprocket you're using. If you're using an aluminum sprocket on anything bigger than a 350 or bigger, you're going to wear it out pretty quick.
It's like 15 years ago. That's all anybody rode was the aluminum ones.
Right.
Remember?
Now there's like combo ones, stealth ones, whatever, or there's ones that are steel that are really hollowed out. So there's different options for you. But I tell guys, if you're, especially on a budget, your chain's not going to last as long, all that kind of stuff with that. So that's something to consider. And then we got some Decal Works graphics here. We're not going to go, we talk about them all the time, and they're on all of our builds, but we got a fresh set for the 500 EXC build. Are you thinking that's going to be a cool build?
I'm thinking it's going to be pretty okay.
So Donnie's excited about that. We talked about this before, his 500 EXC 24. This is the one we did this fall. I did my buddies, and we put the Vortex on from Jamie, and 21 horsepower. Pretty big gain, significant, right?
Yeah.
So this thing's going to be just a fun bike, and we're running the stock gearing on that bike. So
I can see this fall and winter actually getting a lot of use out of that bike.
I hope so.
No, I can see that.
All right. Hopefully.
Plus, I'll take it to Havasu with me a lot and do single track stuff out there.
Let's get into some more.
All right. So, here we go. Eric, hello, Jay. I've heard this before, but never tried it. Can you run the Renthal twin wall bar and cut the crossbar?
Yes. I've
been in the fat bar, but I like the 996 bend. Thanks. I love the 80s music as well.
So this guy's pretty legit.
Extra smart.
So the crossbar, you can actually just hacksaw it. That was a trick a lot of teams would do, because the riders want that crossbar that are used to it. They like having that crossbar there. So you just cut it, and then they put a piece of tape around it, like a Gorilla tape, just to keep it from falling down. So yes, guys do it, and there's teams that do it. They cut it. Most of the time we run an open bar now. I've gotten used to not running a crossbar, and I'm okay with it. I do kind of like the crossbar there, but I've gotten used to it. It doesn't really bother me.
Well, for me, since the last 9 years of buying KTMs, they come with an open bar.
Right.
And it's like, well,
it's kind of used to it, and the ODI has I like the Champ bend.
Yeah,
that's what we're using there. So that's what I lean towards is an open bar now.
I honestly think that. I mean, I'm not trying to go crazy here. I think it's safer.
I wonder. Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 inches less. You're going to hit your chest on the bars
sooner. Yeah.
Sooner. However you want to say it. Whatever. All right, Cody S. Hi there. I have a 2018 350 XCF and just added a lower link so I could lower it 1.5 inches to 2 inches. The front now sits higher. How can I lower the triple clamp or raise the fork without issues? Thanks.
Okay, so this is impossible to make perfect, okay, with what he's trying to do. So lowering link's going to lower the bike down. It's going to be sitting like a chopper, right? So you can move the forks up, but you can only go up until they hit the handlebars. So you only have probably max 1/2 inch.
Well, you could run a handlebar spacer and then lower bars.
Right.
But you're going to be going through some...
Right. It's all... Because if you want it lower, then you probably have shorter arms, and you're not going to want taller bars.
Right.
Down. So all those things stack up. So a couple things. I would run them, scoot the forks up until you get right to where they're almost going to hit the bars, and just know that you're going to be compromising. If you're lowering a bike it's a compromise. It wasn't designed to be lower. It was designed the way it is. So just know that. Now, I'm not saying don't lower it. I'm just saying you have to accept that it's not going to be as good as it was designed for. So when you lower it, you can move those forks up, get you some of that back. I would not suggest doing the 2 inches, maybe just do the 1 inch, because there's different settings on a lot of those linkages. I would maybe just do the 1 inch, try that. And then I always tell guys, ride more.
You're certainly compromising handling.
Yeah. It wasn't designed for that, so that's an easy way to do it. The other way that is a good way to do it, which we've done with Race Tech before, is not to use a link and just to shorten the shock and the forks internally. That's the actual best way. We've done some lowering ones with Race Tech. They internally shorten it up, but I'm sure they could shorten air forks. I would think. I don't see any reason they couldn't.
All right.
So we'll find out.
Patrick G. What's the pattern for tightening spokes on mini wheels? Every third spoke doesn't end up in the right spot on the smaller wheel. Just picked up a new Gas 85 for my son, and after the first pass, it was like they weren't tight. Keep up the good work, and thank you.
Okay, so first of all, I won't worry about the too tight part. Because I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But as far as lining up, so he's doing one lap around. What I do is I'm on a spoke, then I hold 2 spokes in my hand, and I go to the next one, which will be the third one away. So I'm holding 2, go to the next one past it. And we have videos on that. You can go right to our links on how to tighten spokes. And we're using the Fast Company torque wrench, which really helps. So you're going to just skip there. Now, when you do a full lap, like I start at the valve stem or rim lock, you pay attention to which one you're starting at. When you do a full lap, if you end up on the same one that you started on, then you just simply go to the next one to start your next lap. You're going to do another lap, and you're going to end on the same one, then go to the third one. For your last lap, all you do is 3 laps, and you're done.
All done.
So it's not hard. And if you're not tightening spoke, that's why you should have a torque wrench.
Yep.
Because then you're going to get it right to that spot, and it should be all good.
I see every factory mechanic use that torque wrench.
Oh yeah, it's a must.
Yeah, must. Quade T again. I know how you feel about older 4-strokes.
Ruh-roh.
But out of the two, what one is better? An 04 KX250F or an 05 CR 250F?
Yeah, this is kind of funny because this is what we were talking about earlier when some guy said he didn't like Yamahas. He had bad luck with Yamahas.
Right.
Well, and to me, if these bikes were both brand new, the Honda's better.
For sure.
Okay, but in this case, to me, those bikes, it's a no-brainer the Honda was better. But if they were both, it depends which one's more worn out.
Right.
It's simple. If the Cowie has like 5 hours on it, and is all clean, been well maintained, it's only got a few hours on it, then I'd probably lean towards the Cowie over a 50 or 100 hour.
Is there a price difference?
Yeah, right. All those factors. So you got to factor all those things in. So that's why I kind of wrote them back. But so when you start looking at older bikes these are 20-year-old bikes, you have to remember that. So if you're looking at 20-year-old bikes, you cannot reference the shootout results or what's best from 20 years ago, because now at this point, most of those shootouts, the bikes are pretty close, right? Even in 04, the bikes weren't drastically one way or another, but the Honda was probably better than the Cowie, right? But when that's the case, it's all about which one's maintained better and which one's going to last longer and not blow up as soon, is what I should say.
Yeah.
So that's...
Well, listen, I would still always lean toward the Honda in this case, but that's just me.
Right.
I was a Honda guy.
And that bike was a steel frame. The Cowie was still a steel frame one, a little bit behind compared to the Honda. So
when did the Cowie Suzuki combo bike happen?
Right in there.
That was there, right?
It was like 05.
The 1 year not very
alliance,
good friendship, that the frenemy.
Yeah.
They were frenemies. Sammy S. Hey, Jay, I was wondering if you can help me pinpoint a possible reason for a knocking noise in my 24 FC350 Husky. It has a total of 8 hours of usage and has a weird knocking noise. I included the video of the sound. If you have any input, it'd be greatly appreciated. Love the videos.
Okay, I think we have the video, so let's play it right here. Okay, so one thing I'll tell you is we can't tell anything hardly by sound. Okay, that's when guys send us videos, and I send them to Brad, who helps me a ton on questions and stuff. We both are just like, it's so hard to tell on sound on it when it's recorded. When you're at the bike in person and can put your hand on the engine and feel where the vibrations are coming from and so forth. But when I first heard it, my first inclination is it's just a KTM. especially early startup, they are loud. The cam chain doesn't get oil instantly, so that's why you don't rev them up right away. Just start it, let it idle for 3 to 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then wait a little bit before you even give it a blip. So that initial little bit, it will be loud, and to me, it sounded normal to me for a KTM when you start it up.
All right. Henning F. Hey Jay, I'm having trouble with my Honda CRF 450R 2023 and is wondering if you could help. The bike has about 40 hours on it, and now lately it has begun to vibrate a lot. I've checked every bearing and bolt around the bike, also searched for cracks in the frame and can't find anything. Today I pulled the clutch cover off, and then I see the whole basket is loose. I could wiggle it very much side to side like a bearing is bad. Could this be the problem? Or do you have any other idea on what it might be? Any help would be highly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, so this one's really interesting, and it's kind of a surprise. What we came up with on this is that Donnie's celebrating. That we're done with questions over there on the other side. So what happens is a couple things. First of all, he showed me the clutch basket. He had a video, and the clutch basket didn't have nothing bolted up to it. It was just the basket, and it rocks. Well, that's what they do. So it was normal. Clutch basket was normal. So I hit up Brad. He goes, hey, those things, the crank has probably gotten out of true. So that's all it is. What you get these bikes nowadays, and the cranks don't stay true as much as you think. And it's from when you're pinned on the gas, you land on the gas hard. Under load, it can really just spin that crank. You know, jet skis would do it, different things, snowmobiles would do it.
I was thinking the jet ski, right? Right. What you're saying.
So they all would do it. And then, so in jet skis, they would weld the cranks. So you'd actually weld, once it was all trued up, they would weld the crank pins so that it would never spin like that. So it happens on dirt bikes. So this guy, he sounded pretty savvy. He actually, once we asked Brad, sent him back, he rigged up an indicator at the end of his crankshaft. Turning over the engine, you could see the thing moving like 10 thousandths,
Wow.
On the end of the crankshaft. So it was way out of way out of whack. So he's gonna have to rebuild the engine and either rebuild the crankshaft or get a new crankshaft. And
still, you're talking about $2,500, $2,000.
Now he's probably gonna do the work himself. If you do the work, let's say you do the work yourself, between a crank,
$1,200 in parts.
Yeah, maybe $1,000 at least.
Yeah.
So $1,000, to rebuild it. So if you do the work yourself, and then you can add in. And it depends at that time. Then you go, should we do some valves at the same time because you're already there? Then that adds up. Valves are expensive, valves and springs. But then if you're like, hey, I'm here anyway, I should do it, and I do a piston at the same time. So
there's something to be said for what we were riding 20, 25 years ago that had less horsepower and torque on the motor.
Yeah.
Because it's still these parts like this, it's like, I don't ever remember a crank going out of true like they do now.
Right. Did we talk about that RMX behind you?
No.
We didn't, did we?
No.
Well, I can't believe, how did we forget that? Because I think we did a false start at the beginning.
Yeah, we had a false start.
False start.
I'm going to blame you. But
so that RMX is a prime example of a 32-year-old bike. It's a 93, so it's a 32-year-old bike. And that thing, it's crazy that it feels, when you start it up, minimal vibration, feels like a new bike. You can see the thing, it sat a lot of years. So I got this from my buddy Daryl, and he bought it, and supposedly the story is that it was in a police impound area for 25 years. Sat there and in a corner, and then a guy bought it not too far from here, and then somehow they ended up with it. I'm sure the guy bought it for a good deal. And then this guy that's had it the last 2 years let it sit in the side of his house, obviously not with a tarp over the front fender and front headlight mask. So that was unfortunate. But other than that, it's really clean. You see the frame's clean. It's not worn through the paint or anything. So surprisingly, it's really good. I think what we're going to do is just...
I remember these having a lot of torque.
It feels great. And he's got the heavy Steely, makes those heavy flywheels. And so it has the heavy flywheel on the left side. And you can see with these pictures, we got a few pictures here, and I got a video of us riding this thing. I rode it this morning. So I just got this yesterday. And one of the things we're going to do, I talked to Schmidt, we're going to pull the suspension off because I don't think the suspension's ever been off. And so I'm worried that the oil is not only bad, but probably really low and dried out. And so we need to get that oil out of there. And that's the main thing. And so we're probably going to put springs on at the same time.
Didn't these used to come with those handles on the axles so you could pull them out?
The rear one has one on the other side.
It does.
It has some weird looking.
I think it broke off the front.
Oh, did it?
I think so.
And the bike has a couple Zert fittings for you can oil the swing arm and one of the linkages. But you can't get all the lower linkages, the one you need to oil grease. So you can grease all those up, which is really cool. So this is gonna be a fun bike. I got it for $1,500, so I got a decent deal. And then you can see the rims are new. See, the rims aren't scratched.
Brand new.
Yeah, so we can tell it hasn't been abused. So we're looking forward to that. It's got the FMF pipe.
There's no scratches in the swing arm.
No. And we'll have more scratches in the swing arm in no time if we take it out. So the goal is to take this on our next trip if we can pull it off. I want to get the suspension rebuilt. I changed the gear oil today. And then I did those runs, which you can see. I got some video of. You can watch those runs, which is pretty cool. And fun bike, huh?
The fact that it has the opaque disc guard and stuff on is crazy.
Right. All right. So we're ready for our CD.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't double check to see if we've done this one, but I don't think we have.
I don't think we have either.
Okay. So Motley Crue. This is the first album.
Who cares if you double up? It's
right.
Motley Crue.
1981.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Too Fast for Love. Now, one thing I'll say is to get myself in the mood, when I was working on that bike today, before I came over here, I already had this CD loaded, so I just listened to it on Spotify. When I got to the end, I'm like, what's this song? They had some bonus songs.
They added songs.
Added songs? Totally cool. 2 songs were really cool. New, I don't know if they were recorded in, they added them in later, but they were from those sessions that they never used. I don't know what the deal is. I need to learn about this, but it was just today. 2 really cool songs, and then they had Too Fast for Love with a different intro, 20 or 30 seconds of a different intro. It's totally cool. So you have to listen to that.
Hey, there's another bonus. I've seen Vince Neil ride dirt bikes.
Oh, yeah. Dirt bike guys. And
they're dirt bike guys.
Mickey Diamond hung out with them back in the day.
That's right.
Yeah,
he had a house in the rich area up there in LA, and they would ride around their house and stuff.
Right. So this album's awesome. Live Wire, Come On and Dance, Public Enemy #1, Merry Go Round, Take Me to the Top, Piece of Your Action. I don't know what that's about. Starry Eyes, Too Fast for Love, On with the Show. So only 9 songs. On with the Show is the last one that's kind of Johnny's Suicide. And so forth. A little sad one, slow song. And then, like I said, on the Spotify version, there's 2 more songs plus the Too Fast for Love, different one. It's a totally different type of album than any of their other music. Got the cowbell, a little bit of punk mix, right? Fast. Definitely happy-go-lucky.
They were finding their way with this album, I feel like.
But I feel like it's one of the best.
No, I'm saying it's great, but I'm saying they were hitting their stride.
But I will say that most of this wasn't as radio or video worthy as what they ended up coming out later when you got Smoking. Girls. Yeah, they come out with songs that are much more, Dr. Feelgood, things that are going to be more catchy for everyone.
For sure.
Some people could say a little bit more
suggestive
or wussy ones. They're
wussy,
not hard rock. They weren't
right.
They weren't as hard. And that's the way most bands kind of went that way, where they didn't go as hard. Where Van Halen, we talked about them last week, they went harder.
I'm driving with my son in the car. I'm driving with Riley in the car today. And I don't know, he starts talking about some type of music. And I go, let me tell you, I'm not saying this because I was in that era. I'm saying I was lucky to have basically the best music ever of all time that I got to grow up in.
Ever. And what was great about it is that there was always this. You had Led Zeppelin and all the bands, hard rock bands with Sabbath and everything coming up, right? That you could reference. And then, like I told you, I've been listening to Kingdom Come a bunch. And their big beef was that they were a ripoff of Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're ripoff or not. To me, they just perfected
Still sounds good.
They perfected something that was even better. For me, a lot of it's better than Zeppelin because the Zeppelin stuff, they have some great songs. They have some great, but sometimes listening to an entire album isn't as good as.
Well, I'm the youngest of 8 kids. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and so I grew up on that earlier stuff.
Right.
Zeppelin, Bachman Turner Overdrive, not Kansas.
Aerosmith.
Ted Nugent, Aerosmith. That's the stuff that teed me up for the stuff that we got.
Right. And then we got just a great big mix of rock, and it was a good time. So that's a good one to
it's
check
not
out.
like the rock after our rock. What happened to the rock after our rock?
Right. No.
Okay, well, that didn't happen before us.
No.
It happened after us.
After.
Right.
So this music, happy-go-lucky. You don't want to go, whatever. So that's what's good about this kind of stuff. So check it out on Spotify. You get those bonus songs you can check out.
All right.
What's our? You got a last question for us?
So obviously I've been out for a couple of weeks, and I was kind of a little bit jealous watching you ride around.
I rode a lot while you were gone. I went to Glen Helen like 5 or 6 times.
Okay, and you rode that new Triumph. I was pretty impressed with it. So what was that thing like?
It was surprisingly pretty good. I was like, for a first year bike, you know, you kind of expect it to feel kind of quirky and weird, like it's not going to be. But because they came in, and I think they didn't pull any punches about that, like, hey, yeah, we looked at the Yamaha this, we looked at the KTM.
It looks a lot like a Yamaha.
Yamaha frame, looks like a lot of KTM looking engine, some Honda stuff mixed in there. The KTM wheels, I think, bolt right up. Wheels and rotors, and because it's got Brimbos on it, so the wheels, from what I understand, all bolt up. So the brakes and clutch all feel great straight away, because I'm used to riding KTM bikes, right? So they feel great. So many of those things are really good. I was surprised that I feel like I was going as good, which isn't very good, but as good or as
You're
fast.
going your top speed.
Right.
How did the ergos and everything feel on the bike?
It just felt right at home.
Yeah.
So I felt like I could hop on it just as I kind of feel comfortable on all the bikes pretty much anymore. I can hop on any of them and feel pretty good. And this one was similar to that it felt right in there. I think that guys are going to pick this bike in the shootout, in a 250 shootout. It's going to be right in there in the, I think, middle ground.
What would you have to say? What do you think is the best 250 right
It's so hard, but I would say the Yamaha, because of the forks. Like this, the suspension's so good.
They've had that way for 10 years.
I kind of wish that the Austrian bikes had good spring forks, like we talked about earlier in the show about the XCF. So if they had spring forks, I think that would probably do it. And the frame on the new bike, on this Triumph, man, or chassis, and I can't tell you exact changes, right? I'm not going to tell you if I changed hangers or whatever, I can make any difference. But I can tell you through flat turns at Glen Helen, where it's like 4 or 5 turns, where my Yamaha, when I go through there, it wants to stand up. Okay, with the Triumph, I was able just to stay nice and tractable, and I think some of that has to do with the fact that the bike isn't really fast. It's not one of the fastest ones, okay, but it's good tractable power that stays connected to the rear wheel. So you
really feel it's like in the mix.
Yeah, I would think it's right in there.
That's impressive.
I don't think it's going to be the last place bike in any shootout.
Honestly, listen, I know they're factory bikes, but Savachi and Jalik, they look good on that bike.
Yeah, it's legit. So I was surprised. I assumed that with the race team that it wouldn't, maybe the production bike wouldn't be as close, right? But I was surprised at how good it is, and I think I'm hearing that from most of the other guys that have ridden them when I talked to them. So I'm kind of surprised that it's that good. So they're doing their homework. The bike is assembled in Thailand. I think this is the first bike that's been the case. I've kind of heard that that's where the Ducati's going to be assembled as well.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
Okay, so and I don't know that we've had a lot of stuff from Thailand, which I don't know how that relates to China and Taiwan. You know, I don't know where that lines up. But from what I understand, they own the plants where they're made, and they have their people in there doing all the inspections and so forth. So I don't know how good the quality's gonna be long term. I don't know.
Look, I think I've mentioned this before, but there's other big brands that they're not assembled there, but they're getting a lot of parts from, like Honda's getting parts, their frames from Indonesia and all these other places.
Well, and some of those bikes are being assembled in other areas now,
right?
Like some of the lower ones, and I think some of the lower cost bikes, and I think we're going to see some of the bikes even that we ride are going to come from other countries now too. I think the cost is because people still want the bike at this price, right?
Yeah,
they don't want to pay $5,000 more for a bike. So I think they know where the limit is. So I think that's part of the problem we're dealing with there. So we'll see if the quality stays up there. Like I said, so far it all looks good. One of the things I didn't like about the fasteners, all the bolts were Torx. You know, the KTM, you have a Torx on the inside and 8mm on the outside.
You got an option. No option
here, bro. So all Torx. So I don't have a lot of Torx just laying around it. So that was kind of a drag. So I'm going to need.
You're going to have Torx T-handles.
I have to bump up the Torx program.
Yeah.
Boxo. I actually just ordered some from Boxo. So
nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to get some. We got to bump up the Torx program.
Yeah, nice. All right, man.
I see you got some dual sports.
Well, yeah. So this is part of our build here. We ended up with.
We have a couple headlights there from Moto-minded Baja Designs, right?
Yep, and they come with the full dimmer system and all that on it. You can get it from Moto Minded or from Baja Designs. They have both
Duo-majikis, we call them back there.
Duo-majikis.
And all I know is that with these guys, Moto Minded, they print that piece that your fingers are touching.
Yep.
So it bolts right in. It's like kind of idiot proof, and then it plugs. I call these plug and play, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, I'd already mounted this one inside the shield.
And those blinkers, you just found those like online, you said, right?
Yeah, the blinkers I found on Amazon I got 4 for $16.
Send me a link to that, so I can throw it in my Amazon links for guys.
Yeah, if
they're wondering.
Yeah.
So you have backup ones, and then how'd you get them wired in?
I just bought these little. They have on Amazon. You can buy the KTM adapter.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jude. So do you have to order two things, the adapters and the blinkers?
Yeah, but the adapters are like $4.
Send me the links to those, and we'll put them in because we have a spreadsheet now of the Amazon links.
Yeah.
And so we'll add that in there for guys that are looking for those. So yeah, that would be cool because you don't want to have to wire anything or solder anything.
You don't have to. You just plug them in, and it has a little like pigtail adapter.
That's rad
for the KTM.
All right, so we're looking forward to that. That'll be on our 500 EXC build. So I think that's it, man. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, so no races for a while, unfortunately, for nationals to watch. But I'm going to be.
I do watch MXGPs, so I do tape.
I watch just the highlights. For whatever reason, that CBS Sports that it's on, it doesn't look very good on my cable deal. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
it's terrible looking. You hardly read the number plates, so it drives me crazy.
Like today's day and age, how is that even possible?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's not a good feed.
It's coming from another country.
Right, but you can watch F1 and it looks perfect.
I know, I'm kidding.
Right, or Moto GP or anything.
Right.
So some reason the quality looks terrible on that CBS Sports.
I'm very excited though to get back. I mean, you touched on it. I was busy talking about Deegan, I think, but you touched on it. How good Chase has been. Like he looks so fast.
So it'll be interesting to see when Jet comes back. If Jet's not 100% for SMX, where they're going to line up. How's that going to play out? And then we got a Tomac coming back, which is kind of cool.
And Webb.
Two more weeks. Webb's coming back sooner than Tomac, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. He's going to come back the next race.
Yep.
In Unadilla.
I saw Tomac mountain biking, so he's doing some stuff.
All right, cool. So, so it's gonna be exciting. And Roxon's gonna race one or two of the.
I'm confused though. For real quick here, he's gonna race a 450 and a 250.
I don't know anything about the 250 thing. That just sounds like.
Did you hear it?
I think that was the guy that was just creating some junk. We'll see if it's real.
No, he said it. I saw him say it.
I need to see that.
I saw him say it on Instagram. I was shocked.
Yes, you have to send me that. So he actually put it on there?
Yeah, he did.
I don't follow him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't follow me.
Yeah. Oh, right. Right.
Sorry. It's hard for me to even be on Instagram any more than I am. It's
right.
All right. So anyway, great show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of cool stuff, and support our companies, which you'll be hearing right now. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
We work with some great companies, and here's a list of those right now. Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, Wiseco Piston, Vinco Air Shocks and Dirt Bike Parts, FMF Exhaust, Decal Works Graphics, Pro X Racing Parts, Recluse Clutch Revolution, Motion Pro Specialty Motorcycle Tools, Works Connection, Uni Filter, Klotz Oil, Cometic Gasket, MX Plastics, JE Pistons, Cardo Systems, ODI Bars and Grips. And remember, if you shop Rocky Mountain, use our link from our site, Linktree, or link in description of the videos. Thanks for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.